I hope that every time I ask you about sleeping, you are not annoyed or like, ugh, but are thinking about sleep in a kind of way that's um, kind of curious, um, forward leaning. Um, uh, it's kind of a study. You're kind of a student of your sleep. So I encourage you to think about that. And the reason why I bring it up is because today I want to talk about your soft powers in the context of your seated mindfulness meditation practice. So when most people talk about soft power, if you Google it, for example, you'll find out that it's a style of politics or governance. And so soft power is a way that you use coercion and culture and relationships to influence other nations, as opposed to power, hard power, which is military and sanctions and stuff like that. So it's typically referred to in the political context. Well, in Armor Down, we refer to your soft powers as kind of four things. We refer to your soft powers as your power of sleep, your power of mindfulness, your power of meditation, and your legacy. And so, we refer to those as your soft powers. But what I wanted to do with today is, because I had some interesting feedback around yesterday's setting up of your perfect meditation posture. But I want to look at it in the context of how to apply soft power inside of a moment. And so, what you're doing when you're setting up a meditation is you're trying to establish a environment inside of which there is minimal disruption. And you cannot get minimal disruption in your internal environment by just sucking it up. You can get a break. You can get kind of a short-term kind of advance, but you can't get anything that lasts. I mean, that's fundamentally the problem with hard power. In the context of the individual, if you're just going hard all the time and just kind of sucking it up, you just miss things. So I really want to explain your soft powers in the context of setting up your seated meditation posture. So the first thing about soft power is that it's interactive. You interact with what's going on. You don't try to dominate it. And so to just begin, I encourage you to get in your position, whatever area, not position, but get in the area that you use to practice, and just think about it in terms of, is it set up how you want? And by that I mean, is it in the area you want? Does it have the lighting you want? Does it have does it have plants? These are all things that you can just be kind of thinking about and setting up on your own. So once you've kind of done that, you're like, okay, let's practice. Let's apply this whole kind of idea of your soft powers to setting up your best seated meditation. So first thing is just kind of get into the body and just kind of move around a little bit. I cannot underemphasize the relationship here. Sorry about that. but this region here, the hip region, all this in the front, okay? This region right here is the region that is either going to make or break your seated posture. So yesterday I showed you how to do this little simple exercise to kind of stretch out this area. So let's do that again. And here's how you do it. You just kind of lay down and you kind of lay to the side like this, okay? And sometimes I like to even just roll the spine. Now, I'm not trying to beat my body. I'm not trying to get my body to do something that it doesn't want to do. I'm not trying to suck it up and drive on. I'm trying to be sweet to my body. I'm trying to kind of coax my body into being calmer and more relaxed and easier. And mostly all you got to do with your body is just interact with it. I mean, typically that's all your body wants. And it wants the kind of interaction that's present. It's not interaction like lift these weights so you can't move anymore. It's not pushing it to the limit, right? It's interaction. Okay. So then you take this back foot. So here I am. This is my right hip. My right hip. Take my right knee forward. That kind of opens that up. And then I reach back and grab this foot. Now, this is the left front hip that's getting kind of stimulated. And again, soft power. So think of hard power in working out. Hard power is, tearing the muscle tissue so it builds back stronger. Okay? Soft power is interacting with the muscle tissue so that it just softens. It gets softer and more comfortable and just happy. Your musculature, your soft tissue, okay? It has all these different properties, and it responds almost instantaneously to your thoughts. And it also responds to how you move, your tension cycles, your tension patterns, and it also responds to like vibration and kind of sweetness. Think of it as like a baby. If you kind of coo a baby and kind of gently rock a baby, the baby kind of gets softer and softer and softer and falls asleep. Well, your muscles are kind of like that too. You can go in the hard direction, right? Or you can go in the soft direction. So when you're kind of pulling on your foot and maybe feeling something in front of that thigh, you can also kind of shake it, right? Shaking is an incredibly useful tool in interacting with your body and managing your body's tension patterns and all that other kind of stuff. These are your soft powers, right? The hard power is the push-ups, is the squats, is the CrossFit. That's developing the hard power. Soft power is the other end of that spectrum. Now, it's not one's better than the other, but there is a relationship between sustainability. You cannot do CrossFit as long as you can do seated meditation. Seated meditation will last you much longer than your body's ability to do, say, CrossFit, for example. So I get that going here. Now let's go to the other side. Again, you can just take your time here. There's no right way to do this. There's your way to do it. There's just this relationship that you can have to your body, to the practice, that's built off of your soft powers as opposed to your hard powers. So, at Armor Down, we really try to emphasize the soft powers that you have. Most people just don't really know what they are or how to use them. And so I'm kind of just playing around with this spot. Again, I'm not trying to get to some spot where everything's perfect. I'm just interacting. I'm creating a participatory relationship with my body because I know I want to set up my next step. My next step, I want to set it up so that it's comfortable and it feels good. So get that stretch there. And then since you're already here, you might as well create a little bit of a back bend, a little bit of cobra pose, up dog, whatever you want to call it. But just kind of get into the back. I cannot tell you how much I do just little stuff like this, just shaking, right? It's just a gentle engagement. Maybe get a little stretch like that. Okay, so again, you're setting it all up. Yesterday we did crisscross applesauce. Today I want to show you just your kneeling posture. So here's just a kneeling. So I've got the cushion. See, the cushion is right here. and I'm just going to sit on it like this. See, that's how that works. So I'll do the rest of the practice like this. But anyway, you want to create an opportunity for your body and for your hips and all the kind of the areas that you might feel any kind of like tension or disruption. You want to get those things calm. You want to get those things happy. You want to get those things feeling taken care of, acknowledged, supported, so that they'll mostly just quiet down. You know, they're not going to be upset during the practice. So, sorry about that. Let me get this up here. All right. So you've established your basic practice. You've established your basic foundation. Okay, your basic foundation for seated meditation. Now, hard power is largely associated with kind of your muscles, your force, you know, your presentation, all that other kind of stuff. Well, soft power has more to do with your insides. Okay, so the inside, the internal environment, the environment that has kind of less outward presentation and more internal interaction. So it's something that you're interacting with. It's not something that someone else can interact with or someone else can control per se. It's what you have, okay? And so of the 4 soft powers that Armor Down promotes and is kind of your national brand for, first there's sleep, second there's the mindfulness piece, okay? So mindfulness is the interaction with what's going on in a more skillful way, okay? It's all about skill. It's not about relaxation. It's all about skill. Relaxation happens, but really it's about skill. And when you're practicing mindfulness, we follow the 4 bells. And the reason why we follow the 4 bells is because when we interact with the inner world, we have to account for our nervous system. You cannot leave out the nervous system. It's just like when you're getting your seat. You can't leave out your legs, right? You can't leave out attention to your legs and ease in your legs. You just can't leave that out, because if you do, it'll come back later to bother you. So you can't leave it out. So you have to address paying attention to the present moment and doing it skillfully. It's not about getting to the goal, right? A goal can be set, but the goal is skillful engagement with the present moment, period, okay? So that's mindfulness. Now the meditation part, the meditation just means a deeper engagement with what's going on. So, you know, often you'll hear meditation in terms of, I meditated on that for a while, or, you know, there's the Marcus Aurelius meditations from ancient Rome. Now meditation has this relationship to a kind of a deeper engagement with something that's happening within you, okay? So that's kind of that's another of your soft powers. And what you do when you practice meditation on a more regular basis is you begin to see the depths of what it is inside of you that drives you. What's driving you? And you begin to see those depths, and you begin to learn how to interact with them in ways that are skillful. And the reason why you care about interacting with these things skillfully is because of your legacy. Now, your legacy is the ultimate soft power. It's what lasts after you're gone, right? And so what you want as your legacy, or what you hope your legacy to be, is kind of an end state, right? It's the end state, and the Navy SEALs kind of have this after action review of the end state or something like that. I have to look it up. I took notes, but you recognize your end state and then you work backwards, right? So, you know, what's your legacy? So for me, Armor Down is my legacy. That's what I want to leave. And Armor Down is, you know, I've gone over, you know, how to explain Armor Down 100,000 times, but Armor Down is the soft powers brand. You know, it's the brand that makes soft power kind of cool or useful or just prominent. Most other brands like Under Armour and Nike and 511 Tactical and these brands, they're all promoting the hard powers. The hard powers that humans are capable of are fantastic, but the soft powers that humans are capable of are largely underrepresented because they just don't get the credit. And largely, they don't get the credit because we've interacted with our world, our internal world, with kind of suck it up and drive on, or ignorance, or just kind of maybe just dampening it. Just at least I know that's what I did. I just created ways to not interact with it. So anyway, I wanted to put that out there. I've been thinking about that a lot, and I've been thinking about redoing the Armor Down website because currently I just have the meditation cushions as the Armor Down meditation cushions, but there's really a piece I think that is missing, and that's where Armor Down fits in the larger scheme of things. And Armor Down is it's your headquarters for all things related to soft power. And so there's the sleep aspect, there's the mindfulness aspect, there's the meditation aspect, and then there's the legacy aspect. And so to create a environment where all four of those things are supported and championed, and create programs for and products for it. It just seems like that's a direction to go. It really seems to fit in. So that's kind of where this whole soft power narrative has started to develop. So anyway, what we did was, in the beginning, we kind of created a kind of a happy place for your body, right? Doing those little exercises, mostly this hip area here, getting that squared away, going into the knees. This is a perfectly fine way to practice 4 bells, totally cool. And so let's go ahead and get going on that. All right, so sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. My eyes feel kind of heavy, but maybe I'll keep them open for a little bit and just notice light and shadow, just what's right in front of me. There's some electrical cords, there's a table, there's a box, there's all these little bits of shadow that kind of just show up when I pay attention. Maybe I'll close my eyes. Sound. Almost nothing for me to listen to. There's a little drip somewhere. There's the motor of the refrigerator. Touch and temperature. I feel my fingers. I've got my fingers interlaced with each other, and I can feel how the places that they're in touching is warmer than, say, the backs of my hands or my forearms. I've got no taste in my mouth, just a pretty empty feeling. And if I breathe in slow and look for smell, smell kind of the carpet beneath me. Mostly just cleanliness. And so bell 1 is like me engaging soft powers over my central nervous system, over my mind. You know, my mind is now kind of dialed into the present moment. And I didn't do that with a drug. I didn't do it with a distraction. I did it with a soft power. It's kind of just like a, come on, mind. It's a coaxing. Come on, come on. Come to the present moment. And the more often I do it, the easier it is to coax my mind into the present moment. So bell 2, when we go into the body, bell 2 is relationship building. So my body, just like your body, is super, super evolved, super, super smart. I mean, we're trying to create robots that mimic the body, and we think, oh, that's incredible technology, but your body itself is unbelievable. And so the spaces of your body provide unbelievable amounts of information and important cues that your body is giving you to help you understand how to be in a better relationship with your body. Now, the problem that this faces, especially in the warrior community, is we've often been taught and trained to ignore our body or push it to the max. The body is just a means to the end. But in Armor Down, we really want to develop a relationship to the body that is wholesome and nurturing and supportive. And the reason why we do that is because it's a soft power. It's powerful. It is powerful to create this relationship because then your body starts interacting with you in a positive way. And so it's relationship building. You know, we look at soft power as a relationship between nations, but in another context, soft power is a relationship between your kind of sense of self and how the sense of self is being housed or actualized, which is the body. And so the first place we look is the ground. So that's my shins. Okay, that's my shins on the ground here. That's my rear and my inner thighs on the cushion here. That's my ground. Then go into pelvis. So this is the base of the spine. Again, what I'm looking for is kind of a flat base so that the rest of my spine can build from that. Go to the core. Now, most of us have lots of hold patterns. We have all these patterns that the body has just learned to do because that's just what you've done and you don't have any awareness of it, so the body just keeps doing it. Well, you can shift that. It's a soft power. It's not a hard power like cut the muscle and everything's better. No, soft power is you're interacting with it. You interact with what's going on. And so for me, there's always this urge to suck my stomach in, and there's often a tension in some of the muscles in my stomach from past stuff. So what I have to do is just go back in there, notice that space, and just soften it. And typically when I soften that space, it has an influence over my heart space. And so I'll move my shoulder blades around a little bit, check my collarbones, notice that space, then move up into the throat. The throat is a complex space. It's got all this vibratory stuff to it. It's something that's really interesting about singing or chanting. It's really, it's just interesting right now as I'm just talking, but there's ways to interact with the throat that have this vibratory quality. You can do things like you can hum. So if you're in a place where you can't make a lot of noise, you can just go You can feel that humming, so that's one thing to notice. Real simple one is also swallow. So if you just swallow your spit, that's another thing to notice. And then you can get real quiet and you can notice the breath moving in the throat. So there's just so much to notice about these areas that we just don't interact with because we're hard power oriented, right? We're oriented towards this domination. If you don't think we're oriented towards it, just look at the current techniques for how to get stuff done in politics. We're just ramming shit home. Like, this will do it. That's hard power, right? It's got its place, but mostly it's just not as sustainable, and it mostly just causes more need for more hard power. And the more that comes, the greater the risk for violence. So you don't just want hard power. So anyway, you get all the way through to the top of the head, and what you're looking for is a balance between alertness and relaxation. So I'm alert and I'm upright with my spine. If anything shows up inside my body or in my kind of senses, I'll be aware of it. But I also want to just make sure that my muscles are not tight anywhere. And there's often tension that you don't notice. And so you can just systematically go from the forehead to the muscles behind the eyes, to the cheeks, to the jaw, and just softening. There's just no more need for any of that stuff right now. There's no need for that effort right now. Now let's go into third bell. So third bell is breath. Now in meditation, breath is the thing that you interact with as your foundational kind of framework for what your mind is doing. So when you meditate, okay, third bell is interactions, deep relationship. When you meditate, what you're looking for is a kind of deeper relationship to what your mind really is. And so what your mind really is awareness. But what you often see it as fantasy. So another way to think of fantasy is story. And so what your mind really is awareness as kind of just an emptiness that's also full and radiant. So your awareness isn't something that has anything to it. Your awareness is something that facilitates everything. So it's not a thing as much as it is the thing that everything else is. So without your awareness, nothing would be there. There wouldn't be anything to be aware of. Awareness sets the ground. Now what you pay attention to kind of takes awareness out of its kind of empty state and into a more focused state. And so what you pay attention to shifts your mind from its kind of base state, which is awareness, to attention. So now you're paying attention. Now if you want to go even deeper in, so you kind of like massive, huge awareness, 0, then attention is like 1, and then focus is 2. Now focusing in, you focus in. Now the question is, what are you focusing on? And so there's options to what to focus on. So if you're just being distracted, right, if you're just watching your screen or whatever, that's essentially turning awareness, the full capacity of your mind, into this little funnel for fantasy, right, for the story of just whatever. And so you just interact with that story, and that's, whatever, it just is. But in meditation, what you want to do is you want to keep getting greater and greater kind of relationship to your mind's natural state, which is just empty awareness, radiant awareness, illuminating awareness, which is the nature of your mind. And so when you meditate to get more and more engaged with the true nature of your mind, not its experience to be distracted or tricked. And so when you're in third bell, what we're doing is we're trying to become more and more connected to, immersed in, familiar with what your mind actually is. What your mind actually is. So that's third bell, okay? We'll move on to that because I've been talking a lot. So we'll go into fourth bell, all right? So fourth bell, is your best self, right? So this is where you bring the best version of yourself to the moment. And in four bells, this is where you offer gratitude. This is where you offer compassion. And these are the things that extend beyond yourself, have an influence beyond self. There's a spiritual quality to this. And this, in the realm of soft power, is your legacy. So if 4 bells is what you do in the moment, soft power is what you're doing throughout the day, and armor down is the support system for that. And so we support all your soft powers. And so the legacy is what do you want to leave behind? When you look back on your life, on your deathbed, and you say to yourself, what did I do? What did I leave behind? You want to have an answer. You want to have a clear answer for that. And if you don't have one, you need to be exploring it. Because without a clear understanding of what you want to leave behind, how do you know what you're going to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? How do you backfill? How do you set that understanding and then build everything up to that? So that's 4th bell. And that's the 4th of the soft powers that I wanted to emphasize. And I wanted to show it to you in the context of the practice. And we'll get back to a more kind of standardized practice tomorrow. But I really want to start emphasizing these soft powers because we just don't talk about them enough. And we don't give them the credit they deserve. So with that, I'll read the stanza for today and we'll be done. So, as always, the stanzas somehow kind of interact with just the way things are going. So we're on 67, and 67 says as follows: always try to be in communion with heaven and earth. Then the world will appear in its true light. Self-conceit will vanish, and you will blend with any attack. So heaven and earth is this way he talks about the full spectrum of human experience. He'll say the stuff of heaven, he'll say the stuff of earth. The stuff of heaven is the kind of the greatest, most luminous, the best version of the human experience, love and light, and all the things at the light spectrum. Earth is all the stuff at the non-light spectrum. And I don't want to say bad. It's not bad. Bad is the wrong word. It's just the different stuff. It's just the spectrum. It's like the difference between hard power and soft power. It's not one's better than the other. They're just techniques. Now, the difference, however, between heaven and earth is that earth is temporary. It's a temporary experience. Change is fundamental. Heaven is permanent. There's an aspect to heaven that lasts forever. So one way to think about the difference between the two is one is change by nature, and the other is kind of infinite by nature. So that's one way to think about it. And that's also where we fit into the hard powers and soft powers. Your hard powers are effective, but they're very, very unsustainable. Your soft powers are also very effective, but they have a much more sustainable quality to them. So these are the things to be aware of, and these are the things that Armor Down tries to point out as a brand that is kind of the champion of these soft powers. It's your soft power headquarters. So, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this kind of language that I'm using, because as you see today, I just started using it. So, anyway, we'll call it a day, and let's see if there's anyone to say hi to. There's 3 of you on there. Hello. And, let's see, there's a little chat part. All right. Well, thanks for watching, y'all. And I'll see you tomorrow.